Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers, at the voice of college football. We've got a special show here for you tonight as we preview the Oregon Ducks. I'm here, as always, with my fantastic co-hosts, Gabriel Pickup and Donovan Gibbs. And we have a special guest tonight, Sean Bryan, who does the After Dark show and who is an avid Oregon Ducks fan. So we're going to hear the debate from all sides. So, Gabe, start us off. Does Rutgers have a shot at upsetting the Ducks?
Do you want me to speak rationally, or do you want me to speak like a Rutgers fan?
I want you to speak rationally and just give us the brutal truth, because I think
rationally, based on what we've seen so far this year, and specifically the past 3 games, no, we don't have a shot. The Rutgers fan in me says there have been bigger upsets this year, and we saw 2 of them from a program that just fired their head coach, also in the Big Ten. But obviously, Oregon is not Penn State. It would be disrespectful to compare them. Oregon's offense is one of the best, if not the best, in the nation. Oregon's defense is no slouch. And in fact, if it weren't for their insane offense, they would be a defensive identity team. So what scares me is they're the LA Dodgers, they're the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're the Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles of college football. But I mean, this is the first week that Rutgers has nothing to lose. So I think that, what I'm hoping for is a close loss. And that sucks to say, because you don't want to go into any week saying, oh, I want a moral win. We haven't had a quote unquote moral win all year, because this is a year where we have expectations. But for this one and this one alone, and possibly Ohio State, I'm hoping for just a competitive game.
Yeah, no, you make some good points. And before I go to Donovan, who always has great insights, I want to talk to our special guest star, who is an Oregon fan, who's been to Outson Stadium, and who knows the Ducks. So, Spaz, does Rutgers have a chance, or is Oregon just going to quack all through Piscataway?
Well, Rutgers has a chance. There's a old movie. I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's called Any Given Sunday. Well, in college football, we say any given Saturday, anything can happen. Just look at Penn State the last 2 weeks. The first team in like 30 years to lose back-to-back games with 20-plus point favorites going in. So, I mean, anything's possible. Unfortunately, last weekend, Indiana came in to Autzen and slapped the dog shit out of us on our home turf. So I feel sorry for Rutgers, because I think they're going to get taken to the woodshed as the incomparable guinea pig after last week's drubbing at home.
Do you think, real quick, that the win against Penn State sort of exposed some flaws for UCLA and Northwestern, or do you think that was a ticking time bomb that you happened to be in the middle of?
I think it was a little bit of both, because as you saw with Penn State most of the year, they were struggling in a lot of areas. They weren't using they had a 2-headed monster in the backfield. I do not know why they were not using that effective at all. Last year in the Big Ten title game, they ran for almost 300 yards on us, or over 300 yards, I think it was, and just destroyed my defensive line. But 3 weeks ago, they barely ran for 100 yards combined, I think.
I don't understand.
They barely cracked over 100 against Northwestern last week.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing? Is it the offensive play calling? Are the guys just not bought in? And I think, was it you, Adam, last night on After Dark that said, those kids knew before Saturday's game that something was up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I think. And that's why they were shaking hands with Franklin after the game.
Yeah, because you just don't go into a game like that, and 2 hours after the game he gets fired without something being known inside.
Yeah, and their athletic director, Pat, I don't know his last name, spoke today to the press, and it seemed like this.
Pat Kraft.
Yeah,
Pat Kraft.
Seems to be.
I only know because Robert Kraft has the same last name.
Right. All right, so Donovan Gibbs, who plays football for Long Island University, what's your take on what's going to happen this weekend?
Well, this weekend, talking from an unbiased perspective, anything is possible, like Spaz just said, any given Saturday, albeit the Indiana team that faced off against Oregon was 10 times better than what anybody thought that Indiana team was going to be coming into the year. A lot of people thought that team was had a fluke run last year to make it into the college football playoff, but Kursignetti and that overall that defense, which Oregon hasn't gave up a sack. Oregon has only given up one sack going into that game at Autzen, and then they ended up giving up 5 by the end of the game. They were already at 3. Oh, my apologies, 6. I still remember when they were at 4 with 12 minutes left in the fourth to go, and this is a really good Oregon offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the country outside of, I would say, Alabama, Miami, and for the most part, Ohio State. But it's any given Saturday, and just seeing how Rutgers lost another game where they, for the most part, had control of for good stretches of that game, especially on one of the drives in the third quarter that took the game out of reach after giving up a 4th and 2 and a 3rd and 8 that led to a Demon Williams scramble up the middle for a touchdown. We've seen undefeated teams so far this year, especially teams that are ranked, let the loss affect them the week after. For Penn State, it was after the whiteout, and they ended up getting upset by UCLA, in which they were a they were a 20-point favorite against. Quick little stat that I found out as well. Penn State's I think the first team ever in college football to lose back-to-back games with both games being as 20-point favorites.
Yeah, it's what Stat said earlier.
We've seen it happen we've seen it happen with Penn State in regards to the losing to Oregon, then losing to UCLA and laying that build into Northwestern. We're seeing it right now happen with Florida after we seen it happen with Florida State after losing to Miami and then getting upended by Pitt. We just saw it happen to Iowa State after losing to Cincinnati, then losing to Colorado. Good teams and just teams in general can let a loss beat them twice. And that really gives Rutgers a chance in the world right now. And it really just shows how well together this Dan Lanning-led Oregon team is going to be heading into this game against Rutgers.
Did you guys see
I can see Rutgers pulling an upset. They have the opportunity and they have the talent to do so.
Did you guys see Dan Lanning on the game day show taking off his shirt and hyping up the crowd? That was awesome. Jason, I wanted to address this really quick. Their offense is not just explosive, but it is insanely deep too. They have 4 receivers, including their tight end Kenyon Sadiq, with 200 plus receiving yards, and their running back 3, Mekhi Hughes, just had back-to-back seasons of 1,400 yards rushing. And he's had limited action this year because RB2 Jaden Lamar. 42 attempts for 249 yards, 6 per carry, 3 touchdowns. And then Noah Whittington, their RB1, has less attempts, but he has 9 yards per carry. So their running backs and their wide receivers are insanely deep. And Dante Moore can get the dice rolling, obviously. He's been looking insanely good this year.
Well, I think I have kind of a different take on what's going to happen in this game, and I'm going to tell you why. Rutgers is not going to lose on Saturday, and here's the reason. I am going to purchase for the entire team tickets to Six Flags Great Adventure, and we're going to spend the afternoon on the roller coasters. And so when Oregon comes, they're not going to have anybody to play. Now, okay, fine, maybe not. So here's the thing. Greg Schiano said it perfectly after the Washington game. We're not there yet. Rutgers is simply not there. They can have a good.
He's been saying that. Oh man, I was on this show earlier, and the guy is also a Rutgers fan, Arnav, who I had on this show a few weeks ago. He said that he's going to get a shirt of Greg Schiano And the text underneath is going to be, we'll get there soon, because he always says that.
Well, I think, you know what? I think he has a point, because if you look at these games, yeah, there's been upsets, but there's been consistency with Rutgers, and that's been being consistently inconsistent. They're not winning the turnover battle. They're not winning third down conversions. They're not winning time of possession. They're not playing consistently in the trenches. The secondary is way off. No pass rush. Inconsistency from Cali Kamanis after the first quarter. So you put all those big and little things together, Oregon's going to roll. And Oregon's going to roll big because Oregon is coming off of a tough loss. And let me tell you, they are going to use this to make a statement in this game. And I fear not to insult the players. I respect the players. They try hard. They play hard. But Oregon's going to be way too much for Rutgers.
So, Spaz, there's a stat that I don't know if you know about because it's a Rutgers stat, but Rutgers is 6-0 in the first halves. Do you think that it goes to 7-0?
No, I don't, unfortunately. That's what I was going to say, too, is I saw Rutgers all year. Look, Rutgers is up 10-0. Oh, look, Rutgers is up 13-0. Look, Rutgers is up 17-0. And then down the hill they roll every time. To me, that's coaching. That's discipline and coaching 101. Your players are like, oh yeah, we got this in the bag now, and your coaches aren't getting on the players and saying, you need to stay in the game, you need to stay focused. This is 0-0. Dan Lanning says it every week. We are 1-0. We are 1-0, or we're 0-0. That's where we're at every week.
Yeah, you know what kind of Rutgers reminds me of, if I could make an analogy? It's kind of like, imagine your best friend meets a girl, and for 3 weeks they're having the best relationship in the world, and you say, I got to go on vacation for a couple of weeks, but you guys are doing great. You come back from vacation, you're like, how's Tommy and Tina doing? Oh, they broke up. They hate each other. It's kind of like Rutgers.
Donovan, you're lucky that you were
really romantic, and then it goes to shit. I mean, and that's unfortunately inconsistency, and that's what Shiano is rightly referring to, and that's why they're not there yet.
Donovan, you're lucky you weren't on the show on Friday, because when we first got on, it sounded like a normal post-game show. About an hour and a half in, it sounded like we were all drunk.
Sounded.
Adam probably was.
I would have loved to be on with y'all, but I'm gonna add on to what Adam said, and yeah, the one thing that a lot of teams go for is always try to be 1-0 by the end of the week. The goal is always to be 1-0, but the other thing coaches stress heavily is winning the middle 8, the last 4 minutes of the second, the first 4 minutes of the third, and that's really been the place where Rutgers has been struggling. They have been one of the best first quarter teams in the nation if we're just going based off of first quarter statistically. But once it goes into the second and the third, we're really seeing this offense really just start to slow down, and their defense isn't able to hang with that. Their defense right now, they are able to get you the lead, but keep maintaining it, especially after a lot of offensive inconsistency. It makes it so much tougher for them, and that's why we saw the lead for Rutgers completely just dwindle and just disappear by halfway to the third. And for the most part, you thought Rutgers was in this game after the first big run by Antoine Raymond, another great pass by Anthony Calicomanis to Ian Strong that he really dropped into the bucket on the sideline, and it looked like it was basically a double coverage. And then we see this team in the third and the fourth just not being able to push the ball downfield, and for the most part having to just settle for checkdowns.
Yeah, I mean, we had Adam, what was the stat? Was it 6 red zone appearances, 13 points?
6 red zone appearances, 13 points. And another thing that makes this game worse is that, as they say, styles make fights. This is not a good matchup, because here's what Oregon's going to do. They're going to blitz and they're going to play man. And they have the cornerbacks to match up with Ian Strong and KJ Duff. They're going to put tremendous pressure on Cali Kamanis. Again, Rutgers plays hard. They try hard, and we respect them, support them as always. But I think Oregon's going to roll and roll big.
I mean, I agree with the style because
I
think it's going to be a shootout, and Oregon loves shootouts.
I see the only way is for Rutgers to really take advantage of this game and win this game is to follow the same recipe that Indiana had last week, and that's just being able to get the ball rolling on the ground. For the most part, Fernando Mendoza didn't have as a great of a game passing. He started really turning up for the most part in that second half, and Oregon was able to get a mistake out of him still for that pick six that tied the game up in the third. But they were able to really just win in the trenches, especially in the red zone, being able to get 2 rushing touchdowns off of their running back Hemby. And that's where Rutgers is most likely going to try to take advantage of this game because, as you said, Oregon's going to run a lot of man. And the best thing about that, for the most part, is if you're able to get a run going, especially past the second level defense, there's not really going to be a safety back there because most of the time they're going to be guarding somebody. They're going to be guarding a receiver. So the same way Indiana was able to take advantage of that, especially with how Elijah Surratt had one of the best games at Autzen Zoo since 2022 with Jalen McMillan. I really see Oregon trying to shut down the passing game, letting them know that as that really beat them last week. So Rutgers is going to have to take advantage of running the ball, which we've seen them being able to do.
Yeah, and Antoine Raymond has been able to take advantage of that against Minnesota. He had a good sort of hybrid game against Washington, and that's one adjustment offensively that I'm happy about is that we got Antoine Raymond in the passing game, where last year and early on this year he wasn't a factor, and that was supposed to be C.J. Campbell's role. But obviously with C.J. Campbell out for the year, that's one aspect I'm happy about. But defensively, and Ignacio, we'll get to this in a second, but I wanted to assess the pass rush because, as we've mentioned, Oregon's offensive line is one of the best in the nation, and they have 2 of the best offensive linemen in the nation in Isaiah World and then also Emmanuel Pregnone, and that's basically the whole left side. And if I'm not mistaken, Eric O'Neill is usually on that side, and he has been underwhelming as a pass rusher, good as a run stopper, but underwhelming as a pass rusher. And outside of him, we don't have anyone other than Jalen Thompson had a good, okay week last week. But I don't think we get a sack against Oregon compared to 6 last week, and that's 6 sacks is arguably the difference in that game last week.
Yeah,
But
that's been our issue is like the last 8 quarters we've had 3 offensive touchdowns, and that's not good.
Well, I think that I hate to say it, one of the best cures for that is going to be the game this weekend because Rutgers is coming off of, Oregon is coming off of a loss against Indiana. Now, when I watched that game, I just kept thinking, this is just not Oregon's day. They came out flat. Maybe they were complacent. I'm not sure. But this was not the Oregon team that was capable of playing. They're capable of playing much better. This is going to be a wake-up call for them. And Rutgers, unfortunately, is standing in the way. I think Rutgers is going to have a very difficult time generating any pass rush. They're going to have a terribly difficult time covering their receivers. And
man-to-man.
When Oregon plays man and blitzes the hell out of Cali Kamanis, I just think it's going to be a long day. I could see it being something like 24-3 or 6 at the half, and then coming up to kind of like a 45-13 loss.
Yeah, that was the consensus on my show earlier today was 45-17, 42-17, 48-21. I think that the realistic peak for this game is 38-30 Oregon. And yeah, so I do think that we're going to be playing a little more zone this week because their wide receiver core is as good, if not, not as good. They are probably better than our wide receiver core, and we know how good our wide receiver core is. And it's like if our wide receiver core also had a, top whatever you want to say, tight end in college football, because Kenyon Sadiq is also an NFL prospect. And, I don't see, like on Rutgers, on offense, some weaknesses. You can say tight ends. You can say scrambling outside of the pocket. On defense, you can say pretty much everything besides linebacker play and run stopping for running backs is a weakness. For Oregon, you can't really say anything is a weakness on paper. Now, as you said, fundamentally, there's been errors. Like you mentioned, the past 8 quarters, 3 offensive touchdowns. So fundamentally, there's issues, which comes down to scheming. But on paper, Oregon doesn't have a weakness.
Well,
Yeah,
and I think
I would. Oh, my apologies, guys.
that's all good. I think the biggest issue for Oregon right now is offensive line protection. And if I'm Greg Schiano, I'm watching that Indiana tape, and I'm watching Indiana created a lot of different schemes, a lot of different zone packages, and different movements on their line that caused a lot of confusion for Dante Moore. He seemed to not be able to pick up his reads as quick. There's a couple of times that he had some wide open receivers. He had Kenyon Sadiq coming across the middle in the third quarter when I think we got the ball at the 38, and like the second play in, Sadiq was coming off a drag post and was wide open. But because they had created pressure up front, Dante didn't see him in time, and by the time he saw him, he ended up throwing it on the other side, and it went for an incomplete pass. Whereas if he'd had like another second, he would have seen him right across the seam, and it would have been a walk-in 6. But our offensive line's got to do better. They got to protect.
Yeah, and I think when I was watching the Indiana game, after the game was over, I didn't get the sense that Indiana was substantially a superior team. I think Oregon could certainly defeat Indiana if they played again. I think they're pretty evenly matched. But when we're talking about Oregon's weaknesses, we're talking about them in the context of playing against elite teams, like Penn State and like Indiana.
Well, like Penn State was.
Well, but at that point in the season, Penn State Franklin still had the buy-in, and they were a good team.
At that point of the year, Penn State was looking at this game as a potential statement win to make them possibly get back to number 2 in the country.
They wanted to be number 1 after week 1, and I'm like, you can't say that.
They weren't going to get week. Ohio State and Miami are going to be 1 and 2 at that time, and this was potentially Penn State's chance for making a case. Say, we should be number 2 because we beat Oregon. While Miami's best win at that time was a Florida State team that was slipping downhill, and a Notre Dame team that's still just picking the pace back up after 2 easy wins against a Purdue team and an Arkansas team.
All I'm going to say about Penn State is my buddy who's a helicopter pilot in New York, he had a day trip flying to Penn State, actually, flying to their arena. And that was 3 weeks ago, and they're 0-3 since that excursion.
Well, yeah, and also when you look at like the struggles Oregon's had, they still won that game against Penn State in Happy Valley, and they only lost by 10 against Indiana. When you look at Rutgers' struggles, we're talking about against Minnesota. We're talking about against Iowa, against Washington. Those teams are not on the same level, so I just think it's not comparable. It's going to be a long day for Rutgers. The best shot they have is to take advantage of that jet lag a bit in the first quarter. You know, they are flying across the country, but Oregon's going to take over when they get settled. And it's going to be a long day. But what Rutgers can learn from this is what they should be focused on.
Or if you're saying take advantage of jet lag, are you implying things such as like a no huddle offense, keeping them moving, making them tired? Are you saying try to out condition?
No, I'm saying be unpredictable, because they've been anything but unpredictable. Throw stuff at Oregon that they haven't seen on film. It is tough flying across the country from Eugene to Newark. I mean, that's a 6-hour trip, and they've never played there before. So there'll be probably a little bit of an adjustment at first. Use that time to be unpredictable and to throw them off balance a little bit. But I don't think that might make a difference between a 30-point loss and a 26-point loss. Not going to make a big difference.
Yeah, if you get a 13-0 lead, you better hold it.
That's not a able to handicap.
That would be that I would say that's the weakest. Rutgers not being able to finish games. Another weakness I will say has been the secondary since I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, and for the last couple of minutes, I was just thinking about what Ignacio asked us in regards to, do you think the defense going to be playing a lot of zone? After seeing what Rutgers was able to give up through the air against Minnesota, and then last week against Demon Williams, who had 400 yards, I think for the most part,
rushing too.
100 rushing, 400 yards through the air. I think 200 of it was in the second half at that, and just the game that Denzel Boston and Desmond Roebuck had. As Denzel Boston is easily one of the best, I would say one of the best receivers in the Big Ten outside of we're going to get into this game, the true freshman Decorian Moore, who's also a really good receiver for the Oregon Ducks. If those two were able to have the game that they had against Rutgers, Decorian Moore, Kenyon Sadiq, they're licking their chops right now because they're looking at a potential game where they're able to go for at least 100-yard receiving.
And we haven't faced the tight end of Sadiq's caliber yet either. We've faced great wide receivers, and I think that you're right that our secondary started becoming a problem. I would say it became a problem against Iowa. Parker Navarro had a great hybrid game as well, but then, against inferior competition, Miami of Ohio, and especially Norfolk State, I would say our secondary, even for facing those opponents, outperformed expectations. But against Iowa, Minnesota, and Washington, we made all three quarterbacks look like Heisman winners, and for different reasons. Gronowski, he had most of his yards passing, but then he had 3 rushing touchdowns, I believe. And then obviously Drake, I almost said Drake London, Drake Lindsay had by far his best game as a college football quarterback. And last week, Damon Williams became the 16th player in FBS history with 400 and 100, which is more rare than a perfect game in baseball. So,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And here's what's really frustrating about Rutgers. At times, they have played in a way that you think, hey, they can be competitive with the upper tier Big Ten teams. They're ahead 13-10 at the half against Washington. First quarter, up 21-7 against Iowa. But they don't sustain it. They're up in the fourth quarter over Iowa 38-28 and 28-24, and against Minnesota 28-24, and they blow it. So there's moments where they look competitive, and then they just don't sustain it, and the lack of consistency is going to kill them. Now, in this game, you're talking about a disparity in talent that is going to make them even more consistent, prone to turnovers, and going to force them out of their game plan. And when that happens, what are we going to learn from this game? That's going to be the key. If we learn something from it, then it's a worthwhile endeavor. If we don't, and it's the same old Rutgers going forward, then the future does not look bright.
Well, same old Rutgers would be a good thing for this game, because what same old Rutgers means this year,
they keep it close.
I'll say, hey, we got another duck in attendance.
We have another duck. Ben is coming in. His show last night along with Spaz was fantastic. A great 2 hours of fun with our friend Jeffrey, who we wish he would be here too. But we have a second duck who would like to quack in this show.
Yes.
So, Ben, we're talking about what's going to happen on Saturday. My theory is this. Rutgers will not lose because I'm going to buy the whole team tickets to Six Flags Great Adventure, and we're going to ride the roller coasters. And Oregon's going to have nobody to play. Otherwise, I think they're going to lose 45-13. What do you think?
I haven't even really thought of a score yet in that regard. But the one thing I had to say, I was listening to kind of catch up to see where you guys were at. I think the worst thing in the world, actually more for Rutgers right now, is the fact Oregon just lost.
Yeah.
That means that Lanning is going to have everyone absolutely pissed off, and I have a really bad feeling for national narrative.
Do you think
he is going to run up the score?
Especially just seeing, I'm sorry that I keep on bringing it back to Penn State, but the thing is what Penn State just did. Every single team that's coming off of a loss, especially being undefeated or potentially being ranked and coming off a loss, they're looking at the Penn State situation and saying, let's not make that be us. So especially with Dan Lanning, seeing that type of laws going into a game across the country, the same situation that Penn State kind of was against a team that's currently in a struggle. They don't want to let a potential trap game happen. Dan Lanning wants to be able to nip that game in the bud. So 100% agree with you how Oregon's going to be angry on Saturday.
Donovan, when you first said that, I was thinking that's a crazy thing to say. But then I remembered that would have been a crazy thing to say 4 weeks ago about Penn State. So I don't think that anything like that will necessarily happen to Oregon, because I think Oregon has had longer sustainability. They've developed players better, both for the NFL and for team success. And I've seen that since Mariota. But I will say it's not a 0% chance after what James Franklin went through. Anything is possible in college football.
Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, they could score 100. I mean, when you say that, it makes me wonder, because, I mean, Gabe has always been a bit more optimistic, and I wish I was as optimistic, but we're talking about elite NFL potential talent here. And Dan Lanning, every drive for Oregon is going to probably be 4-down territory, where if it's 4th and 6 from their own 40, they're going to go for it, because they're not going to respect our defense.
Saying no punts all game?
I'm saying Lanning is going to tell his team what happened against Indiana will never, ever, ever, ever happen again. And when you combine that with Rutgers' inconsistency, its failure to do the little things, you have a recipe for an angry Oregon team and a vulnerable Rutgers team that's going to end in a 30-plus point loss. And like I said, if they learn something from it, it's positive. But that's the way it's going to pan out, I think.
Well, hey, Spaz, then someone in the building needs to let Lanning know. Just leave James Ferguson in Eugene. We don't need a punter to even travel with us this week.
I like
No. See, we need that, because I just had to vote for Ray Guy punter of the week for James. Him and his dad both sent me links for the Ray Guy Award vote for the week, and so I posted it on both of our channels. So,
you know what's funny? I think the best thing that can happen to a national championship contender in college football is to lose, because
you got to lose early in the year. Well, yeah, exactly.
Not when the playoff format was 4 teams. Then a loss basically kicks you out. But now I would say yes.
But now the way that the playoffs is formatted, it gives you leeway for losses, and it kind of gets you into a situation of saying which losses are better than other losses.
I mean, is it possible? Not necessarily.
The losses give you an opportunity to learn. It creates humility in your team, keeps that hunger alive, avoids complacency.
Yeah. Is it possible for a team, not necessarily Rutgers, but just this had me thinking because of the playoff format, is it possible for a team to lose 3 of their first 5 or 3 of their first 4, then go undefeated and beat a crazy amount of good teams and make the playoffs?
Yes.
It depends on how many ranked teams they play against on that winning streak.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, are we looking at a scenario where Penn State could somehow turn it around?
No.
If they were able to beat you, if their 2 of the 3 losses were in UCLA and Northwestern, maybe.
That's true.
Let's say we were in a situation for Penn State where they were able to, like, let's say they lose to Oregon, but they're able to beat UCLA, Penn State, or they're able to beat UCLA and Northwestern. Then they got to play Indiana. Let's say they're able to. Let's say they split it. Either they beat Indiana and then lose to Ohio State, or they lose to Indiana and they beat Ohio State. There would still be a potential case for them, but the way that they lost is impossible.
Hey, I said it last night, and I'll say it again. The team that no one's talking about that could shock the world is UCLA.
Stop that! Stop.
Their losses are worse than Penn State's.
Yeah. They turned Michigan into children. They turned Michigan State into children. They are
Michigan State is at our level.
Attitude and a new mindset.
Michigan State's middle of the pack, though.
That's my point, though. UCLA went from being nothing to now starting to beat the hell out of
it. UCLA lost to New Mexico.
Penn State's losses are not as bad as
I know the AD at Mexico. Very nice guy.
By the way, New Mexico's a beautiful state. I mean, how can we be insulting?
Speaking of New Mexico, I'm watching the season finale of Breaking Bad tonight.
Oh, don't go there, because we had that analogy last night between, well, that's another story. But UCLA, watch out for UCLA. If they win out, UCLA is in the playoffs.
If UCLA was to win out, they would at least be. I mean, they'd be right now. They are the team you don't want to play because, like you said, with this, and we talked about it. Spaz and I did on our postgame show. This was the loss maybe we needed that we didn't have last year. To wake up and refocus the team. And this by no means is a bad loss. This just means Indiana's really, really good. And we knew they were good beforehand. But a 10-point loss to a really, really good team can be the fire that team needs to wake up and now continue on halfway in the middle of the season. So I think it was like a perfect time to maybe take a loss and then take it to a good team.
Yeah, and that's what Adam was saying too, right before you joined, was that if you guys played Indiana again, which you certainly could play Indiana again, come later on in the season, who knows who would win that game, because it's honestly two very even-keeled teams, and Indiana's playing like they're honestly easily a top 3 team in college football playing like it right now. And if you played them again, I think Indiana would still be favored. Or not still be, but they would be favored now, but it could be like 55-45.
I think if they play again, Oregon's going to win the game. And I'll tell you why I think that. I think that Dan Lanning's game plan was not the best fit for that game. And I think he realizes that now. They're going to adjust. And I think they'll beat Indiana if they play them again.
I think there would be an experience adjustment too. Now you know what to expect, because I don't think anyone really realized how good both their lines of scrimmage were.
Yeah. Wow.
Indiana's got their simulated pressure they were doing that whole game was throwing everyone on that line off. So if you play Indiana, watch out for them, because they're really, really good. But to Rutgers, did everyone do a score prediction or something like that?
Yeah,
I got to ask that really quickly.
No, we did. I said, okay, I gave 2, which is kind of unfair, but my realistic one is 48-21 Oregon. My everything goes well one is still losing, but 38-30 Oregon. Because honestly, that's the way that Rutgers plays, is when they play their best, they still are not great defensively, but they put points on the board. Okay.
I'll have to. I'll think about this later on. Maybe I'll wait till Wednesday to do my score drop. I think Oregon wins, but again, Lanning will have them fired.
We didn't get to talk about this with you then earlier on, but the spread for this game is only 15.5, which to me, well, it's 17.5 actually now. It was 15.5 in the morning. Do you think that's disrespectful to Oregon?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so too. I mean, we were 10.5 underdogs to Washington, and we lost by 19 to them.
Right.
I think they're thinking that Rutgers may be able to score some points on Oregon and lose, kind of like you said, maybe 45-30 or something. But I think it's off.
Yeah, I which one of you guys said that that Oregon was going to rout this game?
I did.
I was going to say, I think we all kind of said that.
Well, I think and run up the score. I think Oregon scores 60 points.
It's not definitely not impossible.
That is a very plausible score.
They could too. I mean, and that's why, like you guys were saying, the one thing that Rutgers has had an issue with too is you're concerned about your secondary.
Yeah,
and this is like the perfect game for Oregon to be like, oh, our receivers didn't get involved last game. Well, boys.
Yeah, Ben's add-on.
Corian Moore, that's going to be the last time we see the Corian Moore get less than 50 receiving yards a game this season. That's what it felt like.
And that was a thing too. I totally did not. We pulled away from the run game. We stopped giving heal the ball. He was getting 5-6 yards of carry every time he touched it in the first half, and then Will Stein just completely went away. I think he's trying to steal Jerry Neuheisel's job at UCLA, and he should be shot for that. Will Stein, get back to calling the game like you did this last year. Let's not go back to the Bo Nix check down era. This is not that. This is Oregon 2.0. Put your foot on the gas, put your foot on their throat, and run them through the grinder, because that's what you have to do. You have to come back and make a statement this week. And if you don't, then everybody's going to call you a fraud.
And to add on to this real quick, because we were saying, definitely Oregon could score 60. You guys will never believe what the total over-under for this game is.
It's 60. Yeah.
Which is outrageous to me. Again, Rutgers.
I saw that this morning, and I was like, wow.
Did they not see Oregon put up 60 on Oklahoma State?
Yeah, and honestly, our defense is not much better than Oklahoma State's.
I would put the over-under. The over-under should be something like, I don't know, 4,187.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be like 71, honestly. Like
I was going to say 73.
Yeah, somewhere around that.
That's a good call.
And Ben, you mentioned that the weaknesses for Rutgers, it's the secondary. It's also the pass rush. And ironically, Oregon's basic identity, how they function on offense, is their depth at wide receiver and the time that their backs have to find a hole and the time that Dante Moore has to throw the ball. And you're going to have a lot more time this week than last week. You're going to have anywhere between 3 and 5 seconds to get rid of that thing before there's even a player breaking free. And it's kind of ugly. That's why everyone's saying Oregon can score 60 points, is because the fact that your identity is basically what we're bad at.
Yeah.
Well, and again, too, last week it was just so uncharacteristic, like what Spaz was saying, with the one offensive touchdown. So we get rid of the pick six that happened. The one offensive touchdown was high tempo, came right at Indiana, did a little fake play action, drop back, kind of moved to the side, deep shot for the touchdown. After that, they didn't do any of that. They didn't move Dante out of the pocket unless he was running for his life. So this week is one of those, hey, remember we have a whole playbook? Let's experiment again. And, so I feel the running game is got to come back, because last week, like Spaz said, after a while, you kind of got away from it because you got demoralized. You kept getting stuffed at the line, or only getting like 2 yards of carry.
Yeah, we couldn't get no hold on the edge to get it. Every time Dante ran outside the pocket running for his life, and he was trying to run, bam, there was a linebacker right there just to tackle him. That's what I was really impressed with. Was
other thing about that,
they were very disciplined, and they kept the spot. They kept the spot for a good amount of that game.
We only have a 4-2-5, so we don't even have anyone that's going to be able to spy, because we only have one middle linebacker and one outside linebacker.
If I were
the way that Oregon's offensive line is, and the way they're able to run the ball, especially after a game where they weren't able to, and they see this as a possible tune-up game, there's no way Rutgers doesn't play a potential 7-man box at minimum, because a six-man, potentially 5-man, if they're able to move one of the linebackers out with motion, is not going to do Rutgers any sort of justice throughout that game.
Yeah, especially when Dante Moore is better than Damon Williams, and we gave Damon Williams his perfect game of college football.
Well, that was just primarily because Rutgers' biggest issue so far has been being able to be disciplined in the rush lanes and not breaking contain. Demick Williams, for most parts of that game, primarily for them to get their offense started on the first drive of the game, was started off of a Damon Williams scramble. And the final touchdown of the game was off of a Damon Williams scramble. Every single situation outside of the one in the red zone where they're able to get that amazing turnover on Damon Williams has been based off of Damon Williams being able to break a chain. Dante Moore, when he's able to break a chain, we saw it against Penn State. He's able to do damage. So it's really going to come down to just being if Eric O'Neal and all the other edge rushers are able to just be able to contain, and be able to control the edge. And with Oregon's offensive line, that's going to be tough.
I think what's his name? Oklahoma State's former coach, is that Mike Gundy?
Gundy.
Yeah, Gundy. You guys had Gundy pissed about NIL before the game even started.
Gundy needs to lose that little temper he has. But anyway, if I was an Oregon fan, I would be so excited right now because you lost the game at the perfect time, and it gave you so much to learn from. Even when Ohio State lost to Michigan last year in November, I said, that's a good loss for them because that's going to get them to reset and get back to basics and have that hunger. This is Oregon forward, I'm telling you.
You know that Ohio State wanted to break that streak, though.
Yeah.
I think they
got the last laugh still, technically. But
Well, guys, Caden's been waiting patiently. So, Caden, Caden and his controversial thoughts. We would love to hear what Caden thinks within reason. So, Caden, the Diesel Freak, welcome to the show. Give us your thoughts. The stage is yours.
Adam, Gabe, it's always good to hear from you, gentlemen. Donovan, good to hear from you as always. That's right. The 9-time reigning defending undisputed national champions are in the building. So give me some space here, Adam and Gabe. First of all, Ben and Spaz, it's been a long time, but I got a question for you boys.
You got him face palming already.
Where's y'all's national championship? All right, that's right. It's on our shoulders. And that title belt looks better on our shoulders.
Yeah, it's in your back pocket, Caden.
Spaz, you're just jealous that we're the national champions and y'all ain't. So I know how it is.
But that's okay because just like last year, you took that bad loss against Michigan and it refocused you. Guess what? We took a bad loss too, and now it's going to refocus us, and now you guys could be in trouble in the college football playoffs.
I wouldn't say really much troubled, Spaz, if you're just trying to say that. But I will say I actually am a little intrigued because of the college football playoff, and as a fan of the undisputed 9-time, soon to be 10-time, 11-time national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, I feel there's a little more competition.
Miami looks good this year.
Yeah, Miami looks good.
Miami looks good.
It's still a Cristobal team, though, so just wait till he doesn't take a knee during one game. And lose it,
Maybe that might happen. The only loss I see is a potential ACC championship loss to Georgia Tech, and I still see
I don't think Georgia Tech is a factor this year, honestly.
They're undefeated. They look pretty good right now.
Yeah, that would be a good game. That'd be a good game.
Looks pretty good.
The national champions are in the building. And Jason, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Caden the Diesel Freak, the most hated and most controversial Ohio State fan on this planet. And yes, a fan of the 9-time, soon to be 10-time, soon to be 11-time undisputed national champions. So there you go. And Ben and Spaz are the idiots from Oregon because apparently they can't beat us in the Rose Bowl. Haven't been to. And Rutgers is the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten besides UCLA and Washington. Now, that's my opinion. Now,
Washington.
Adam and Gabe, if you have a problem with that.
5-1.
Washington is not bottom of the barrel. That is.
I have a trivia question.
5-1 team.
Caden, I have a trivia question for you. 32-31 was the score of what game last year?
32-31. Let's see.
One of the teams was Ohio State.
That was the Oregon game, wasn't it?
You got it.
Yeah, well, guess what, Adam? We have a national championship. Y'all don't. So I suggest you remember that we've got a national championship already, about to have maybe 2 more.
I got a question, an actual trivia question here. How many times have you been kicked off of Mark's live streams?
Oh man.
Too many to count, but I'm gonna tell you what, Spaz. He can hate me all he wants, but the bottom line is, I'm saying my opinions. If anyone's got a problem with my opinions, they can do me a favor. Write it down on a piece of paper, fold it, and shove it straight up where the sun don't shine.
Follow-up question. How many times have I been kicked off Mark's network?
Ben, I think we all know that answer. 0.
And by the way, Caden, you're saying that Washington and UCLA and Rutgers are bottom of the barrel. You said after Iowa beat us that they're somehow bottom of the barrel. How is this working? And that's what got you kicked off, by the way, from Mark's show. I remember I was watching it on the way home. He said Iowa was bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten, and Mark was like, "That's not even opinion. That's just factually incorrect," and he kicked you off.
Yeah.
Listen, I said that's my opinion, and I said that's my opinion. If you have a problem with my opinion, Gabe, like I said, write it down on a piece of paper, fold it, and shove it where the sun don't shine. That's what I got to tell you.
He said that Iowa is consistently a top 5 team, and you said that's your opinion. And then, you know what? Maybe I think you triggered him a little bit.
Katie, I have a football question for you.
Donovan, go ahead. Donovan, hold on. First of all, I actually appreciate you for one, and two, you're one of the only few Rutgers fans I actually have respect for besides Adam and Gabe. But go ahead with
There
your
ain't
question.
many besides them.
Fan, you know how many times online I told people that you and Ben are the worst Oregon fans on the face of God's green earth? Oh, plenty of times.
Are you the one that left that nasty comment on our channel a few weeks ago?
Hey, well, I say my opinions, Donovan. But anyway, what's your question for a fan of the champs?
Looking at Ohio State's the rest of their schedule, it looks pretty much easy. Wisconsin, we already know they're going to win in Madison. They typically win in Madison. Penn State at home, they should beat Penn State at home. Purdue should be a win. UCLA should be a win. Rutgers to be decided. And then Michigan on the road, the big house. You were able to break the streak. Ohio State still hasn't been able to break the curse yet, set by Jim Harbaugh back in 2020, if I'm correct.
2021,
where they were able to win the last 5 straight matchups. This time being at the big house. Is that the potential game where number 1 Ohio State turns into a situation like last year where they don't have the bye week off and they lose?
I honestly don't think so. I am confident that we will win this matchup because our defense is better, and they've done better routines on defense, especially playing more blitz packages, doing more man-to-man coverages, lighting up our opponents early. So no, we will beat Michigan in Ann Arbor.
I do want to add one caveat to that as well with Ohio State and Michigan. I really like this matchup this year. I've been circling this matchup for the longest, primarily because it's going to be true freshmen versus true freshmen. And it just feels like we've just entered like a new era of the rivalry.
Yeah, I will say this, though, regarding this matchup. Julian Sayin does not have the composure of a freshman. He has the composure of an upperclassman. He may not be the most technically gifted quarterback, but he does not make mistakes. And Bryce Underwood is the opposite. He might have the most gifted talent. He might have the most born talent,
but he makes mistakes.
And I genuinely think that's going to be the difference. And I would be shocked if, based on what you said about Ohio State's schedule, they don't go undefeated this year.
Yeah, Gabe, I think you're 100% right. I do not think that Ohio State defense is going to be losing to a true freshman quarterback who, despite being very talented, throws the ball 95 miles an hour every time he throws it, and just shows kind of those freshman growing pains that an Ohio State defense, they're going to confuse them. It's going to be kind of like a 24, in my opinion, like a 24-10 game.
I could see that.
Hold on, Adam. Hold on. I wouldn't say 24-10. I'd say at least 49-3.
No,
that's just my opinion.
Michigan's
now you wonder why I say that? It's because of our defense. Our defense has been handling business. So excuse me, but our defense has been handling business.
They've been good.
I-
I don't think.
I just wanted a
you-
quick follow-up question. As
You-
we just said, most likely Ohio State's going to potentially be undefeated. Which team do you not want Ohio State to see in the playoffs? Whether that's Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Miami, which
Hayden,
team?
right? Like
Miami.
Yeah.
You're asking me seriously? You're asking me about who I don't want to see in the playoffs against them?
Yeah.
Donovan, I want to see anybody, anyone, anytime, anywhere. I don't care who it is.
How did
Texas
I
Tech,
know you were gonna
Texas
say
A&M,
this?
Ole Miss.
Hey,
I don't
Gabe,
care if
clip
it's Miami.
that.
I don't care if it's Texas A&M.
Got you.
Bring it. That's all I gotta say. You want to try at the champs? Bring it, because the boys are ready and they know how to lock down and lock and load. That's all it is to it. So if y'all have a problem with that, like I said, you can write it on a piece of paper, fold it, and shove it straight up where the
Hey,
sun
this
don't
is a
shine.
kids show, man.
Is this Troy's alter ego or something?
Nope, this is not Troy. Just so you know, this is not Troy. Troy, and besides that, I don't even know who the hell Troy is.
Right.
Miami will give Ohio State trouble because Miami's front seven is going to make life hard for San. And Miami's offense at this point has the kind of skill players that can give Ohio State trouble.
And they have a guy anchoring that defense named Mohamed Toure, who has a lot of great experience at middle linebacker in the Big Ten. Just saying.
Well, listen, Caden, we always appreciate your calls and your insights.
Now, I will say this, Adam.
Uh-huh.
Adam. What is it?
Go ahead,
said, I said I want Miami versus Ohio State. I said I want it because I said that would be a dog fight. I said if there's a dog fight, Ohio State versus Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Miami, I say y'all better bring your A game against the best team in the country, and that's the 9-time reigning, defending, undisputed national champions. But as far as Miami's concerned, I told them to just bring it. That's all I just said.
All right. Well, no, we respect your opinion. We thank you for being on the show, and call in next week as we do the Oregon post-game show. Caden, thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, by the way, Adam.
Yeah.
I will come on here whenever the hell I want, and if I will give somebody hell, I'll give somebody hell. Ben and Spaz, stay out of the boys' way because you know what's good for you. You're gonna get dealt with like everybody else on our schedule, and that's all you got to know.
Before Caden leaves, I just got one thing to say: UCLA 38, Ohio State 20.
No chance, Spaz. No chance in hell. Hey, Spaz, I'll give you a spoiler alert. If we play y'all the Big Ten title, Ohio State 56, Oregon 7.
And that's where I remove him from the stage.
I think that UCLA is going to beat Ohio State 3-0. Baseball.
That would be the perfect score for that game. And then it's just another half-assed field storm.
I should have asked
is a trap game for them.
I should have asked Caden what happened the last time Oregon played at Ohio State.
I was going to say something, but there was no point in bringing that back up.
No, you would have had him on here for another 20 minutes.
Right.
Well, I think that no one wants to talk about the team that if they win out will shock the world and right now maybe unbeatable UCLA. Okay.
They're a trap game.
Emasculated Michigan State.
They're a trap game, sure, but
Mika Ayamalava playing up to his pay grade.
Yeah,
finally.
He is.
What maybe it was in the contract. It was
only took him 2 years.
What did we say last night, Spaz, on the After Dark show? I said UCLA administration, athletic department, the president there, everyone there, do not screw up. If they have one or two more like impressive wins this season, you need to keep that staff as it is, remove the interim, at least give them like a 2-year leash. Because otherwise you're just going to hire someone, they're going to get rid of those guys, they'll go have success elsewhere, and UCLA will still suck.
And also,
for another decade.
Interim is a very annoying one when you're dealing with the staff. Because, like, for example, Rutgers had 2 different interim ADs for over a year. You don't want to be stuck in the interim section, and especially when it's, with a head coach, a AD, with anything to do with the identity of the program.
The great thing for UCLA right now is that you have a team that believes in the coaching staff as they are, and obviously it shows on the field. Why would you destroy that momentum, even though because this is a cheap coaching staff? Let's put it this way. You could get these guys fully signed as a head coach, the OC, everything, pretty cheap. Because there was already some tweets, Spaz. Maybe you saw it, where it said, because Will Stein is going to be a target for a head coaching job. Everyone said, hey, OC Neuheisel. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, no. I saw that. No, thank you.
Like, oh, no, I don't know about that. Neuheisel doesn't have that much experience. But UCLA needs to keep this staff in place. They're having success. Why would you destroy it immediately? Because UCLA is stupid, yes. But, come on.
Yeah. If UCLA can somehow sustain a good football program after having the winningest basketball program, they would be up there with LSU and Florida, Texas, Michigan, whoever, for Oregon, for example, for best athletics in the world. Not in the world, in the country.
No, in the world. Because we only play each other, so we can play in world championships.
World champions of what? No, I can't.
America.
Yeah, I think that's
and a couple Canada teams.
The bottom line is this: we are in for some major surprises as this college football season unfolds. If we think the first half has been surprising, get ready for some shocking twists and turns. I'm not sure what they're going to be, but I do suspect that the playoff picture and national championship game is going to could have teams that we aren't even talking about right now.
It could.
Who that would be?
Well, no one's even still talking about Texas Tech that much.
They're a really good team that does not get taught. Their defense is insanely good. Their defense is up there if we're talking about Miami or Ohio State. Their defense is good.
That's true. Yeah.
And Texas
Their
Tech
defense is good. Texas A&M is a really good team as well. You can easily say Marcel Reed is a top 5 quarterback, at least for this year.
100%.
You know who's not that good? You know who's not that good, though?
DJ Lagway.
Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Hey, curious what you guys think from an outside perspective, or, well, I guess not too outside because, it's still Big Ten, but I said before the season started that Ethan is going to have a better year than DJ Lagway, and I got laughed at and I got trolled by Florida fans. Do you guys think so far this year Ethan is having a better year than DJ Lagway?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me look at Lagway's stats really quickly.
A couple of weeks ago, it would have been a sure thing, but to be fair, they did beat Texas, and he had a good game.
Yeah, but I think right now you're right. We'll see how it pans out, but right now
beats my ego. Appreciate it.
So I was like, hold on, let me look at this.
Yeah.
Let me see. Lagway. 66. Yeah, and the 9-to-7 ratio touchdown interception really. That's a flag.
Yeah,
that's not a good stat. The completion is basically about the same. More yards, 11-3 for Ethan. I would say Ethan has had better stats.
Yeah,
better performance.
Yeah,
the difference is Lagway has had the other teams, so he's going to get the higher praise. But they did lose embarrassingly at home to USF, who is a good team, though. By the way, USF is not a bad team, but.
Yeah,
they still lost at home.
That Miami game to me exposed him.
Well, so let me ask our Oregon friends: when you think about this upcoming game against Rutgers, obviously Oregon is not playing like a bottom of the barrel team or an FCS team, but Rutgers is not a top team either. Is there any worry on your part that this could go sideways, or are you coming into this game thinking, no problem, this will be easy and we'll go home?
I think we'll be fine.
As I came in and I said it, I started with it. This game at the beginning of the season was an interesting one because Indiana we always had highlighted as that. Let's see how the season plays out. Then everyone found out Indiana's really good. Now with that loss, again, I think for Rutgers was unfortunate. You just went across the country, played Washington. Now you're at home. Oregon's going all the way, but Oregon's going to be pissed. That
Yeah.
I think is the unfortunate thing for Rutgers. And so I don't see this as a trap or a letdown game now because the
It's
team
funny
is
'cause coming
focused.
into the year, I would have said, because we didn't know how good Indiana would be, I would have said Indiana was a trap game against Oregon.
Because of the Indiana loss, that's what's killing Rutgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Indiana is really good. So I don't. This team. This is not this. I mean, you can argue. We could twist this and say you could argue this is the same thing. Kind of like, man, look at Penn State again. They put everything in that Oregon game. They lost. Then they had to go on the road to literally at that point a sinking ship. Like it was half sunk. Even rescue crews weren't even bothering. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna let it go down. It's fine. They weren't even worried, and they lost.
Indiana reminds me of Michigan from 2024.
That's not going to happen with Oregon. That is not going to happen with Oregon. Oh, I'm excited there.
What team did you say, Adam?
I think this Indiana team reminds me of Michigan from 2024. When Indiana plays, they don't jump off. It doesn't jump off the screen at you like they have amazing playmakers. What jumps off the screen is that they have a totally cohesive team, and where everybody does their part. And that's could have the makings of a national championship team.
Yes, for sure.
Oh God! Please don't give Signetti a national title. He'll literally just write Google me on it.
When you look at the Big Ten, I think the only three teams that are contenders for the title are Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana.
Who would be next? Would you argue Michigan?
Next, I would
of the
say
Big Ten.
USC.
Oh,
USC. Okay, well, yeah, USC did just.
I know
beat
they
Michigan.
lost to Illinois. Illinois is still a really good team, but the way that Illinois got manhandled by Indiana, and I honestly think that Illinois has been a little overrated since before the year started.
I guess the question, I get where you're coming from because again, USC did just beat Michigan. I just don't trust Lincoln Riley. That's kind of my thought. And USC's defense has somehow gotten worse from last year.
I mean,
it's regressed in certain areas.
He produces quarterbacks like no one else does.
Yeah,
that is fair. And he runs them off too.
Yeah. Like Jaden Mayava, he's turning into not necessarily a Heisman favorite, but a Heisman could make a run at it kind of guy.
Right. Mayava's probably like 6th, 7th, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, probably top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there's a chance that a non-quarterback wins it, like a Haynes or a Jeremiah Smith?
No, but I don't know who's going to win it at this point. I think really it's still pretty much unresolved.
Yeah, I
can see it either being Simpson for Alabama or potentially Marcel Reed, Jeremiah Smith, or Carson Beck can be in those conversations as well. He has been having a decent season so far with how he's been playing in Miami. But my personal is Haynes King. Haynes King has been – it feels like he's averaging 200 through the air and 100 on the ground so far this season.
There's a stigma against Beck, and I think it's because of his Bulldog days that he just is kind of like pedestrian almost, even though they're doing this good. I would have said John Mateer before he got hurt, but he didn't come back the same. I think maybe he came back a little too early against.
Come back too early, yep.
So yeah, my vote would have been John Mateer.
Yeah, I think this year's it's a quarterback this year at some point, but.
Is Nico a dark horse? Is Nico a dark horse?
No, yeah.
Yeah, Nico, I am a leave of that one alone.
do not put any money on those odds. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
What about the quarterback from Indiana?
Oh,
yeah.
Mendoza?
Yeah.
He's got to be in the lead now.
Yeah.
I would think he'd almost be the favorite.
Is.
Oh, is it still Simpson? Okay.
Yeah.
I can see them neck and neck, though.
All right, so my final question for everybody here as we slowly end this Rutgers show and look forward to the game this weekend, if you're an Oregon fan, what are the 3 things that you're looking for from your team in this game, both for Rutgers and for Oregon. And Gabe and Donovan, you're the Rutgers side, and
Yes, sir.
Ben and Spaz from Meatballs in 1976, you're the Oregon side.
Shall we let the guests go first?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, it's 3 things. Specifically on the Oregon side. I'm not as concerned defensively, but I need to see this offense. 1, start fast. Stop being hesitant. Stop playing with your food. Don't do that this week. Number 2, I need to see our playmakers getting involved. As we talked about there for a minute, Ja'Cory Moore, Kenyon Sadiq, all of our receivers, all of them need to get involved because last week they were hardly targeted at all. Some of that was good coverage, obviously, so I'm not going to take away from Indiana, but let these guys go and do their thing. And the third thing I need to see is this offensive line re-gel, communicate, because letting free blitzers come at you, that cannot happen. And this run game has got 81 rushing yards
How many
against
carries,
Indiana.
by the way? Like, you don't have to do the exact number.
I want to say it was something like, was it like 30? It had to have been like 30 carries.
That's very unlike them for the stats that they're putting up this year.
Yeah, 81 yards, I believe it was rushing. That cannot happen. And if anything close to that happens again, if there's less than 200 rushing yards, I am going to be pissed.
Good Lord.
I will be pissed. So Oregon needs to be explosive. Put your playmakers out there and let them do the thing and fix the O-line issue and communication and run the rock. I guess that's 4 technically.
Well, I mean, 2 of them kind of
Close
fall into the offensive line anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I never said I could count very well either, so give me a little break here.
Yeah, you did a little baker's dozen there. Spaz, you have anything to add to those 3 things, or you think Ben kind of summed it up well there?
Pretty much same lines. It's like offensive line, you got to do something. And Pregnon and World need to shape up or ship out. Got a lot of flack from USC fans last night on the After Dark show about Pregnon. That's why we let him go, because he sucks.
Wow.
He's actually a decent offensive lineman. You just got to stay focused and use your spots and create your holes. And our defensive line needs to show up. We need to get pressure.
Yeah.
Mendoza got all day to throw last week. I don't think we even had a sack on it. I don't think we even sniffed.
One.
Did we?
Yeah, one.
Okay. I mean, for the most part, we just did not sniff their backfield at all. Mateo got no penetration. Washington got no penetration. I think the only one I saw get any movement was Tuioti. I think he got the only sack, actually, now that I think back. I think Tuioti got the only sack. And you've got to open your playbook. Quit playing this Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel check down bullshit. Open the goddamn playbook. You have elite receivers. You got 3 good receivers out there. You got Moore, you got Bryant, and you got the Florida State kid.
Benson.
Get them involved. Get them moving the ball up the field, not diagonally, not screen checking. Move the ball.
Yeah, and my 3 things are the exact reason why we're going to lose this game, because my 3 things are something that we have not done all year. The first thing is make Dante Moore uncomfortable. Every quarterback we've faced so far, with the exception of the kid from Norfolk State, has played true to their identity and put up career numbers against us. And so with Dante Moore, it sounds like his identity is to be explosive, because you guys are upset that he wasn't explosive last week. It sounds like he's an explosive quarterback who can escape the pocket and make something out of nothing. And that's something that we need to avoid at all costs. And that kind of ties into my second point, which is pass rush. Unfortunately for us, you guys have one of the best offensive lines in the nation. And even after a bad week, that doesn't change, in my opinion. How are we going to attack the quarterback when the most sacks any of our players has this season, I believe, is 2 or 2.5 from Eric O'Neill. And I believe I'm blanking on his name for some reason. The other guy from I believe JMU. No, Brad Weaver. Brad Weaver also. And the third thing, which kind of ties into the defense a little more than the offense, although the offense has suffered in the second half too, is don't put the same product of football out in both the first and second half. Because I've said every single game, basically since Ohio, but if we're going to be technical, I guess since Iowa is when it really started showing itself again, is we don't have the same. Sorry, 1 second. I'm getting a phone call here. There we go. We don't have the same staff, or what's it called? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, basically we have a team that in the second half we put on the same product, and the other opponents take advantage of that. And so I think that that's going to happen again against Oregon, unfortunately. And therefore, in the second half, even though in the first half we are competitive, in the second half, it's when it's going to all go to shit.
My 3 things are kind of similar to yours. My first thing is Rutgers has to win the middle 8. They've been getting outscored in the second quarter and the third quarter. The third quarter has not been the quarter for Rutgers Scarlet Knights football so far this year, and they let leads that they have to start off the game just become nothing by the end of it, and that really just hurts the morale and just the fight of this team. The second thing for Rutgers is don't let the logo of the helmet of the opposing team beat them. They have to remember at the end of the day, these are both Big Ten conference teams. They are just as much of good football players as they're going up against, and they can't let the fact that the team that they're playing up against, being Oregon, beat them. They have to let Oregon's team beat them, not just the logo on the helmet beat them. And number 3, which I hope can happen, but I don't know if it's going to, just due to the difference in talent level from Rutgers defense compared to Oregon's offense. I would like to see Dante Moore, like you said, be facing a lot of pressure in the pocket. We saw Oregon, if you're able to throw certain looks at them, they are going to break down. These are, at the end of the day, this is a college offensive line. They aren't going to be able to beat every single game we throw at them. And we saw it against Indiana. If you're able to get Dante Moore's clock running faster, the game's going to be more and more in your benefit. And another thing that we saw from Indiana is you're able to run the ball against Oregon. If Antoine Raymond, especially after the day he had against Washington, and I bring that up because Antoine Raymond wasn't going down after the first tackle. I'm not comparing it to a situation that Oregon dealt with last year, but how Antoine Raymond is able to break out of 1 or 2 guys on tackles. We saw with last year, especially against Boise State, where Oregon had a lot of their runs stopped, but due to extra efforts by the running back at that time, Ashton Genty, you were able to make positive gains out of it. I'm not saying Antoine Raymond is the type of running back that Ashton Genty is, but Antoine Raymond has the mentality of not getting taken down, and that's going to be beneficial for Rutgers running game. But for Oregon, it's just don't let last week beat them twice, because we've seen it time and time throughout this season. And the thing is, a loss like that can affect playoff implications. And for Oregon, especially for Dan Lanning, he doesn't even want to cross that bridge. Let's just try to get the win right now as it is.
Now, don't you think, though, that how Indiana played last week, that's not necessarily going to beat Oregon every time, because Oregon is a team that, unlike Rutgers, knows how to adjust?
If you're able to get 6 sacks on a team and still able to run the ball for 100 yards and then throw the ball for 200 yards, you can beat any team in the country.
Yeah, and Really quickly, my three things would be: number one, can Rutgers have 3 good quarters instead of 2? In 6 games, they've had 2 good quarters, but never 3. Number 2, can they respond to adversity and, come back and respond to it reasonably effectively? And number 3, can they take away something positive from this game that they can use moving forward to build a stronger foundation?
Beautiful.
Well, folks, unless anybody has any final thoughts, that will end our weekly Rutgers show. We're going to be back here on Saturday after the Oregon game for a live post-game show where we welcome your calls and comments. If you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. We want to send a particular thank you to our friends from Oregon for appearing on this show and giving us their commentary. And we hope to appear on your show this week, whenever it is, and give the Rutgers Wednesday. We'll be there. So thanks so much for being here, and thanks to everybody for watching. We will see you here on Saturday, hopefully with good news. But, whatever news it is, we'll be here anyway. So thanks so much for being here. Go Scarlet Knights, and thanks to you all.
See you guys.
See ya.